Alright everyone, welcome to our match of this week between Team Fish Tacos and Dynasty eSports. Sorry for a bit of a delay. One of our casters is currently missing, and at the same time I got caught up in a TFT game because you already know how it is. Going quickly into the draft phase, we have TFT banning out Sivir and Jace, and Dynasty eSports banning out Riven and Vel'Koz. Right now I'd say Vel'Koz, I'm guessing it's more so of a pocket pick, and Riven definitely isn't a bad top laner to pick in this meta. She's been consistently good in solo queue for the past couple of patches, and she's definitely usable like in that lane if you have some sort of like Riven one trick or someone who's competent in that role to be able to use them. And it seems like the ban got glitched out, but it was intentionally supposed to be Ryze. I think they were hovering Ryze before the ban triggered. So Team Fish Taco, their first 3 bans of the series coming out, we have Sivir, Jace, and Ryze. Ryze isn't that bad after his rework. Jace, probably the strongest ability top laner in the game right now, and Sivir just a consistently strong ADC that can pretty much perma-push a lane. Then Aurelia banned out, and first pick for Team Fish Tacos is going to be Renekton. Another one of those top lane bully matchups that you can pretty much abuse any lane that you'd so fit or see fit, and you pretty much get any sort of advantage in the lane as long as you don't get permacamped. In the meantime, Dynasty eSports picks up Nico as their response pick. Maybe flex up in the top lane or the lane, and then Jungle pick up for Dynasty eSports, J4, and already right now you can see a bit of synergy looking Nico ultimate, J4 ultimate, vice versa. Just having some found a team fight. So my guess is that Dynasty eSports is going to be drafted into a more so of a team fight heavy or a sort of planned engage comp of sorts. In the meantime, TFT lock in Ezreal ADC. Definitely a reliable ADC if you can pick him up. He's going to be safe. He's not going to have that much of an impact in the laning phase. And coupled with him is going to be a Yuumi, and this has been a notorious bot lane for being extremely safe and pretty much one of the stronger poke lanes in the current meta. Ezreal, he's pretty much untouchable on a good Ezreal player, and then couple that with Yuumi, and he's pretty much never gonna die unless you force engage onto them incredibly hard with, like, say, a Malphite ulti or potentially even J4 ulti. But J4 ulti interacting with them Ezreal is definitely going to be something to be looking out for. And the last pickup from Dynasty eSports is going to be Lux, and Lux can either go mid or support. There have been some nerfs coming into Lux, especially on that shield, so definitely going to be looking out for whether this goes bot or mid. Then we have a Sylas ban coming out from Dynasty eSports. He's certainly not a bad champion, definitely good in the right hands, and he has a lot of burst potential, and that's one thing I'd say that TFT is missing right now is some sort of either burst damage or AP damage in general if Ezreal isn't forced to go some sort of AP build, which isn't that common, especially after that double tier nerf way back when. Then Caitlyn banned out in terms of the ADC is definitely someone that can contend with Ezreal's pokes because of her range, and Talia banned out because Talia, I have not been able to see her that often, but when I see her in a few of my solo queue games or every once in a while when a decent Talia player picks her up, mid or even jungle, she can be a force to be reckoned with, especially with that burst damage early game.
Something interesting.
Team Fish Tacos rounding out their set of bans with an Ashe ban. Another ADC I'd say that can match Ezreal in terms of poke, and is definitely going to be one of the better ADCs if you're going to be looking to someone that could lock down a Yuumi. Just press R whenever she's outside of Ezreal. If you can catch her out, this is pretty much a guaranteed kill just because of how squishy both the Yuumi and Ezreal is, especially before his Iceborne Gauntlet.
Something interesting I really like to see here is that they banned out Vel'Koz and then took the Lux support. Vel'Koz does really well into Lux support. However, I feel like that's a very heavy price to target out that support for them just to be playing Ezreal Yuumi. Like, I really want to see how this Jinx Lux deals with such an annoying poke comp of that in bottom lane.
Yeah, speaking of Jinx Lux, look over into the client. Apparently there was a slight bug or a slight lag. Jinx is supposed to be Kaista, So
Okay.
that missing ban for TFT is going to be Rise, and the Jinx for the side of Dynasty Esports is intended to be Kaisa. Everything else seems to be good as far as that goes. Last on the side of Team Fish Tacos, they've locked in Hecarim for jungle and Azir for mid lane. And last but not least, we're just going to be waiting on to see how Dynasty Esports rounds out their comp. Either mid lane or top lane. Either or. My guess is going to be mid lane. I'm assuming they're going to want to have Nico mid, but aren't going to be that many picks that you can put into Renekton. Lock in the Echo, which I think wouldn't be a bad pick into Azir as long as he's able to outmaneuver and not get poked down as heavy from the Azir. Yeah, so far, seems like pretty rounded out comps. You have on the side of Dynasty Esports, you have the Nico and J4 for like the engage. You have Lux for the picks. You have Kaisa for the damage, like the extended trade out damage, and then you have Echo coming in as like a burst follow-up, especially with this W. J4 like engage with his ulti, and Echo W definitely have a good bit of synergy. It just gives Echo a nice bit of time to wind up and set up his W, which a lot of times he isn't able to. So definitely going to be looking forward to seeing those interactions. And it seems like we have someone else coming in. 1 second. Hello, my guy. Thanks for coming in and helping me out.
Hey, no problem, dude.
Yeah. Right now, we're live. No worries. We just finished up with the draft. We're just going through the client right now.
Absolutely good.
Can I get in that? Or
Yeah, I can send you the pro draft so you can see. Here you go.
Can you invite me to the game too?
I think they started up
We
the
did start the
draft.
match. We cannot get you in this one. We can get you in match 2.
Quite possibly.
Wait, the match is already going.
Second.
top lane for Azuki. They've locked in Hecarim jungle for Heimerdoodles. For mid lane, they've locked in Azir for 48 chromosomes. For Ezreal in the bot lane, for Piero, and then they've locked in Yumi for support for Amsterdam, and then for the side of Dynasty eSports in the top lane, Nico locked in for Rat, J4 locked in for Dorjin in the jungle, Echo locked in the mid lane for Kessler, Bishop's picked up a Kaisa, and in support, Friesman's locked in Lux. So, that being said, seems like multiple TPs are coming out for the side of Dynasty eSports. 3 of them, one in the top, mid, and in ADC, matching up with Ezreal on the side of TFT, who's also taking TP, as well as Azuki on his Renekton. So it seems like a lot of these members of these teams are going to be looking for these optimal back timings and getting as much EXP and gold as possible. And Azir taking that cleanse over heal or anything else just to make sure he gets out of a potential Echo W as soon as possible, or a Nico route / Lux route, which definitely is going to be detrimental to someone like an Azir who needs to be able to move freely to position his soldiers.
So Swift, I gotta ask you.
Yeah. Yep. Hit me with it.
Which draft do you like better? I am favoring TFT's draft with the Azir, Renekton, Hecarim. I think it's apart from Azir being a difficult champion to play, I feel like it's an easier comp to win with, an easier comp to engage and stay alive. As far as the engage and tank factor that Dynasty's coming in here with, they've got maybe a Jarvan to engage with. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the Hecarim, Renekton are just going to charge in, while Azir, Ezreal are both very safe, high damage late game.
Yeah, both of them are relatively safe, especially Azir and Ezreal, just because of how much movement they have. So it's definitely going to be difficult for Dynasty to be able to take their engage and force it onto them. But it's definitely going to be dependent on how well they can maneuver around these team fights and get any picks from the Hecarim ultis and the potential like Renekton engages or Azir Shurima shuffles. So with that, I'd probably take TFT in the right circumstances for them. With that being said, spectator delay is ending. We're going to cut to a short break as we get back into game.
Should be FKN
Yeah. Yep, got it.
Done.
Yeah, I accepted it. At least I should have.
I can't spectate game yet. Are you guys not in game yet?
We just got in the game. I paused that 5 seconds. Okie doke.
The spectator stuff isn't full, right? Like you guys didn't have 4
No,
spectators?
I don't think so. It was like what? It was only 2 of us, right? I think. Arc.
I don't know if I can spectate to the client with.
Try op.gg then maybe.
Can you give me a IGN of somebody in the game?
Probably the easiest one is Dorjin. DYN, space, and then Dorjin, DORJAN.
Says he's not in an active game.
Nani? Try rat, I guess. DYN space rat RAT.
Rip. Also not saying he's in game.
What the heck? Let me see.
Freeze man, same thing. Unlucky.
I'm confused. I
Yeah,
mean, I
probably.
thought you'd be able to see the custom games, but confused.
Well, I guess rip me, guys.
Rip. Hmm.
Alright, well, should I go play a game or like I don't know what to do.
I think, like, yeah, like if there's somebody else that's gonna be here, I think maybe we'd be able to. Like later, I don't know where Orbital is at.
Okay, well just let me know if you need me.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, see ya.
See ya. Alright, so I'll let you do I'll let you do the color, I guess. Or yeah, either or. Yeah. Okay, so we've loaded in the game finally after quite a few delays, and my apologies on that, especially that whole TFT fiasco and one of our casters not being able to show up due to some complications and overtime work, etc., etc. But as we get in the game, both TFT and Dynasty eSports are going for a more so 5-point start. Both junglers spot each other out.
That's right.
And
Instead of our normal caster, you get me, Arkwolf, the normal streamer. Today, standing in as your color caster here. We got plenty of action here. Not really at level 1.
but hey, man, we take it at this point. The good old pool party Renekton cancel. That stuff was a telltale, I swear. Meanwhile, Kessler taking a bit of damage in the mid lane. Azir on that 48 chromosomes asserting dominance. But yeah, this start off this game was pretty rough. Like I think both teams were ready about like around 8:05, and my TFT game did not finish till 8:20. But hey, we got first place, so we take it.
I just wanted to point out the TFT fiasco is Swift's team fight tactics, not anything to do with the currently playing Team Fish Tacos.
Yeah, Team Fish Tacos has nothing to do with this. They were ready on time. It was literally just me saying, hey man, I'm in first place and I have like a 15-game win streak. I really don't want to get out of this game for free. But hey, we got first place, so it might be worth, but I kind of wasted everyone's time, and I apologize for that. In the meantime, there's a gank up in the top lane with the red buff level 2 gank coming out from Dorjan, and he caught him out pretty easy.
Absolutely.
Solid first blood coming out, going to Rat.
Now, something I like seeing there, the spectator kill cam came up as Bishop getting it because Rat was still looking like
No, oh yeah.
But yeah, that was a very cheeky level 2 gank. You saw Jarvan passed immediately to his red buff and then right up top.
The order is given.
And it looks like Team Fish Taco had wards in the area, just wasn't respecting the Jarvan level 2.
Yeah, sometimes get a bit too far pushed up there, but mistakes happen. Right now, Rat's hoping to take full advantage of those mistakes as he transitions to getting more gold, more so. It seems like Amsterdam spots out some Heimerdoodles going in for that blue buff as well, trying to make sure that Bishop does not stop him. In the meantime, I was almost confused there for a sec. Meanwhile, the root lands and a good bit of damage coming out. PTA Brock, and that's a lot of HP coming out of Azuki there.
And that's gotta feel bad, not only giving up first blood, but TPing back to lane and just being immediately chunked out by this Nico.
Yeah, so it's the story of these Reigns versus melee matchups in the top lane. If you start getting behind, it becomes so much more difficult to come back into this game, just because of, especially someone like Nico, where her auto attacks are all she really needs to kill you. In the meantime, Azir getting out some great poke damage. He opted in for that electrocute to make sure his burst damage in the early game was to the maximum. It's definitely paying off as of right now. And seems like Heimerdoodle spots him out, throws out the ignite, forces the flash out of Dorjin, and the back cancel coming out from Kessler, trying to make sure that he stays far back enough away. But both Dorjin and Kessler are extremely low. Yeah, like probably one more auto, he's definitely dead.
Now Hecarim is running Smite Ignite out of here. No Ghost, no Flash, no anything, but he's definitely gonna have some really nasty kill potential later on.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty difficult for Dorjin to contest him in the jungle. Just Ignite's early game strength when it comes to 1v1ing is unprecedented.
What
cannot be downplayed at all.
That Ignite on Hecarim is the only Ignite in the game.
When the jungler is having to make the plays, making sure that nobody heals out of this one. In the meantime, Wave just shoved in up in the top lane, seemed like a prime gank, but Azuki just eating it up. He can't come up to this wave at all, and Rat's just taking full advantage of it, about pretty much double his CS at this point as well. In the meantime, we have Dorjin sitting up in the top lane, clearing out his Krugs. Heimerdoodle's backing as well. Root lands from Friesman, getting out a bit of poke damage. And a bit more trading coming out. Auto attacks going in, back and forth from Pyro. But ultimately, just a game of CS coming in. Not much else you can do in the lane against Yuumi Ezreal. It's relatively safe, and Yuumi's healing on top of Amsterdam taking heal as well doesn't really allow for that much 100 to 0s.
Now we see some pings out already. Both teams eyeing up this Infernal Drake first. And both of these comps, you know, neither team is going for the long haul tank comp. They both really want that damage extra.
Certainly so. In the meantime, Chromosomes is in fact getting the better of Kessler in a lot of these trades. Does have that extra mana crystal as of right now. Ooh, but spotted out in the jungle. Heimerdoodles is getting some damage on a Dorjin. In the meantime, in the bot lane, Piero does in fact get hit by the snare. He gets exhausted as well, but the heal comes through from Amsterdam to save his life. And here comes Kessler from over the wall, hits the stun, and kill goes over to Dorjin. Nice win. That's a secured scuttle for the side of Dynasty eSports. Root lands onto Azuki as well. Baits out the stun. There's nothing he can really do about it. Has to E away to safety. Some pretty solid trades coming out here from the side of Dynasty. Picking up kills here and there and making sure that their objectives are going towards their jungler.
Something I really like to see here is that... Oh, hold that. Chromosome's doing some damage on Kessler.
Yeah, just picking it up. Making sure that he doesn't get the bad end of any of these trades. He's using those soldiers pretty effectively. E comes out and misses from the side of Kessler. So far, so good.
As I was saying, something I'm really happy with that Dynasty's doing here is that they know they're not really going to be making too many plays against an Ezreal Yuumi bot lane. And so far, they had a level 2 gank top lane. They've caught the enemy jungler out in top lane. They've are really doing well at focusing where they're going to be able to get some kills and leads, and kind of leaving this bot lane to just do whatever it does.
Meantime, Dorjin does in fact spot out Chromosomes there. He's walked into no vision, forced him to use ulti. Flash comes out from Bishop, but is not able to follow him up, and the dragon gets stolen, and that is a kill coming in for Dorjin as well. Flag and drag lands once again. Flash coming out from Ezreal. Extremely low. The red buff might take him out, and that's a kill going over to Friesman. So 2-0 for the side of Dynasty eSports on top of the Infernal Drake, taken right under their noses.
TFT had no business trying to sneak that dragon there while Chromosomes was being engaged on. That was just a bad situation. They were trying to hope they could win the 50-50, but that is a bad setup. Unfortunate event.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these fights or skirmishes are definitely going in the favor of Dynasty eSports right now. A lot of the attempts that I'd say TFT's been trying to get for going for objectives, such as that Infernal, even the Scuttle in the top lane, just hasn't been going as well as they'd been hoping for. As we've been seeing currently in the top lane, just the CS differential between both Rat and Azuki is just slowly mounting like by the minute at this point. In every other lane, I'd say, is relatively even. Just have Dorjin just slowly creeping up there with those 2 kills and assists. Meantime, Pink's coming out. It seems like Dorjin is going to be looking towards the top side. They might potentially try to dive out Azuki here. Ooh, Azuki getting caught out by the root. And Dorjin once again spotted out by Heimerdoodles. He isn't able to just automatically fight him in the river one-on-one like that, especially when he sees 48 Chromosomes coming in and spotted him out a bit earlier. Is in fact sweeping out. He's able to catch him out with the E flag and drag, but he flashes out of the way, does not have the ulti just in time, and it seems as though that Kessler is going to caught out as well, but he does indeed flash. Q lands, he is out of the Comet, and Rat there just in time to save him.
I was going to point out, as Dorjin was going in, that you have to keep in the back of your head that, once again, that's the Hecarim with Ignite. You don't really want to be fighting this guy one-on-one at this stage of the game. Dynasty is ahead, but you don't stay ahead by taking 1v1s.
Root landed, and the ulti lands as well, coming out from Friesman. Ult follow-up from Bishop on top of the Q, and that's a free kill going over to Bishop.
Absolutely scary combo there, and Yuumi was not in lane yet, could not throw down the heals.
Yeah, that's a pretty big yikes there coming out from TFT. They're not going to be able to catch the rest of this wave, and a lot of plates are going to be going over for the side of Dynasty eSports, and that's definitely what this bot lane needs to get rolling, because this Yuumi Ezreal bot lane, at least from my experience, can get way out of hand pretty fast if they aren't shut down or at least slowed down to an extent. Meantime, we see Heimerdoodles in the top, like coming in. He's charging up his E. He does have double buffs. Q does land. He lands the E on top of the Lux. Snare does land. It seems like Bishop's trying to get as much damage out as possible, and they make it out alive. Heimerdoodles did not have ulti.
Excellent exhaust used by the Lux there, by Bishop, or by, sorry, Friesman. And now Dorjan's here for the counter gank.
Yeah. Flag and drag does not land, but he does bait out the E, and ulti comes out from Piero, and it does kill him, and in the meantime, Kessler picks off Amsterdam, the W under the tower, and that is another 2 for 0. Meantime, in the top lane, 48 Chromosomes is trying to get some sort of kill going in. He uses the cleanse and the flash. Flash comes out from all 3 of them. Ulti does land, but it's just not enough to blow up the Azuki mid-ulti.
That was a
In the meantime, ult comes out from Heimerdoodles, and that is another kill going over to Bishop. Stun coming out, and a huge combo coming in for Azuki, but Kessler's able to turn it back around and jump right onto 48 Chromosomes. TP coming in from Rat, and I don't think Azuki wants to stay here any longer. He's getting out of it. Never mind, TP coming in from Bishop. So many TPs, I just failed to realize that Rat was still dead at the time. But hey, man, those are the mind games that you get to play when you have 3 TPs in pretty much every single lane. Even fooled me at the time. Instantly back Bishop, getting him a couple more items. He has finished his man immune. He's got the pickaxe, and it seems like he is leveling up his Q, if I'm not mistaken. So he's definitely getting there in those evolves.
Infernal is once again the next Drake that's going to come up here, and hitting 13 minutes. I would have liked to see TFT make a play for Rift Herald to try to get some of the gold back off these plates, but it looks like everyone's just going to make the next fight over Infernal Drake.
Yeah, definitely be a key objective to start playing around. Right now you have the gold leads is getting pretty spread for the side. Oh, EQ combo coming out from Kessler. He does get punished for it. Snare does not land onto Chromosomes, able to dodge out on that one pretty effectively. And good bit of poke damage coming out onto Kessler as well. But yeah, as I was saying before, the gold leads is just spreading out pretty evenly for the side of Dynasty eSports. And the Bork coming in, just a lot of damage. Used the ulti to get around there, but he is just not able to outmaneuver 3 people ganking him when 2 of those are a Yuumi and a Hecarim on top of Renekton. Meantime, they spot out the Yuumi there. Doesn't want to face check. Oh, and the W lands. The W ulti coming out from Bishop, and that was pretty solid. Zonya's coming out. He's able to 2-man ulti coming out from J4. Zonya as well. Lux ulti isn't able to connect, but Kessler does pick it up at the end. Q coming out from Chromosomes, able to pick up the kill onto Dorjin as well as Echo W. Not finding where it needs to be, but he does E back in. The root does land, and that should be a dead Azir there, and that opens up the mid lane for the side of Dynasty eSports once again.
Now on the side of Team Fish Tacos, Azuki's actually been doing a wonderful job in the losing matchup to absorb the pressure and turn around a couple counter ganks. And Chromosomes is doing a great job keeping his Echo at bay, despite his Echo being 4-0. I want to see them play out to late behind that late game Azir and a tanky Renekton absorbing pressure in the side lanes.
Yeah, like right now, they've definitely gonna be able to work around that Echo. Like both Echo and Kaisa are 4-0 and 1. They're extremely strong. They're hitting their power spikes right now. I mean, Kaisa just finished her Gwynsu's, has her Berserker's Greaves, and she's slowly but surely getting that mana immune stacked up to a Mura mana, about halfway there at this point. And you just got to worry about the fact that Kessler, like, he has TP, so does Bishop. They could technically be anywhere they want to be or need to be when a fight breaks out. So they have to keep that in mind if they're Team Fish Tacos right now. It seems like they're going to be opting to go for the Rift Herald right now, and Heimerdoodles does not decide to check it at all. I don't think he suspects it either. He's just focusing on his camps. Meantime, Kessler picking up blue, and there seems to be like a free Rift Herald going over for the side of Dynasty eSports.
So when Dynasty has 2 early Infernal Drakes, they can take up whatever objectives here that they want to go after. And that's how they snowball.
Yeah, and I think right now Azuki's just pretty much accepted death. He used the ult to try to stun up and get some damage out. Quite possible. Nearly killed Dorjin right there, but seems like Heimerdoodles built up a bit too much more than he could chew. Bishop using his ult to his advantage and picking up those buffs for himself. And right, definitely put out a great bit of damage up in the top lane. Also did Azuki. Azuki seems to be opting more so for that Shojin. I think once he gets that, he's going to start being able to at least come back from that sort of early game where he's just sitting under the tower and picking up the scraps that Nico was giving him.
Something I like out of Dynasty is that they have been proactive in the entire game. Level 2 gank, taking the first Infernal, stealing the first Infernal, and then just closing up every objective. Once they got a lead, they have not let go of it at all.
Yeah, there's only been like those few fights where it's just been going their TFT's way out of like Just a bit of mispositioning here or there, but more often than not, it's just been heavily Dynasty favored so far throughout this game. Seems as though Echo trying to go for a bit of a dive, but not going to go for it. Going to opt to go catch the wave. In the meantime, 3 people from TFT are going to be heading towards topside. Guess potentially trying to pick off Rat here. But it is indeed a Nico. Always got to be looking out for those ulti outplays. Seems as though Bishop opting for that Nashor 2 because he might be going for a... Well, opting for that Nashor 2, he's picked up a Stinger as of right now. And right now there isn't that many avenues I'd say that Team Fish Tacos could be playing through right now. I guess you could probably sit back and maybe go for the Ezreal or the Azir to try to carry this one out. Oh, but it seems like he might be caught out. Ooh, it's very close. He is able to take out both ultis from both Friesman and Bishop, but that is a dead cat.
The face checking Yumi, you hate to see it. She just got hit by a car.
Hit by a car. The killer
One
instinct.
dead cat.
In the meantime, Rat setting up in the top lane, clearing out the wave that Azuki just pushed in, and Bishop seems to be trying to chase out Piero. Does in fact chase him out. In the meantime, the Retero gets dropped down in the bot lane, and Dorjin opting to go for that Ocean Drake secure. I mean, imagine if that was a third Infernal Drake. In the meantime, Root does land on top of Heimerdoodle, isn't able to get the ulti off that he wanted, and he pays the price for it. Friesman picks up the kill. And Rat split pushing up in the top lane as well. Oh, the Q lands. EQ coming out from Ezreal, and that lands as well. W lands, isn't able to proc it onto Friesman right there. Able to keep himself alive. And that bot tower is going down, and I'm pretty sure the top tower is soon to follow.
What's impressive
Ocean
here
Drake picked
is
up.
Look at Dynasty pressure absolutely everything they have on the map all at once. We got a 1-2-1 jungler taking the dragon.
Kessler picks him up at the last second.
And
Incredibly
TFT
low.
Still cannot stop them.
So yeah, in the meantime, mid tower tier 2 does indeed fall. Kessler does in fact have ulti at the same time. One more passive proc, but ulti comes out from Dorjin, picks up 2, but it just isn't enough under the tower. Heimerdoodles does pick him up. Bit off a bit much more, but that is another tower down in the mid lane, and these towers are just falling like dominoes at this point for the side of Dynasty eSports. Right now it seems like they're going to go back and reset either that or help out Rat take out this last top tower, but it seems as though they're going to back off and they're going to be content with what they've gotten so far.
20 minutes has just struck over. Baron is up. This does not feel like a 20-minute long game.
It's been going pretty fast-paced for the course of the game, especially for the lane. A lot of kills coming in for both Dynasty and a few coming in for TFT. But it's all on TFT to try to make some sort of comeback here. More than likely play through Azir, because this year he's been playing this game pretty well, especially trying to hold off this Echo. He wasn't giving too much. He hasn't been giving up too much as far as like kills, especially to the Echo in the early game, and he was able to out-trade him, or at least trade him at the same time. So far he is... I think he's probably the avenue that they have to play around if they want to get this game in the late.
And I think the biggest tragedy here is the 050 Ezreal. Something that we expected to be so safe and difficult to track down and kill all game. And he has not had any kind of effect.
The meantime, ulti comes out. Oh, and the stun does land. Ulti's back into the W area and is able to kite out the gank coming in from Heimerdoodles and the ulti from Chromosomes. That was a pretty solid escape there. Echo the escape artist, you already didn't know.
Even if they killed Echo there, that was a two-person dive in the bot lane while Baron Dynasty rotates. I mean, this is a free objective.
Yeah, free objective, not much that they can contest. The only way that they could pretty much contest a Dragon or a Baron at this point is having Heimerdoodles up there to ulti in. In the meantime, the rest of Team Fish Tacos are having to fall back. They're going to go back to their base, try to hold off as long as they can. And they do have an Azir and they do have an Ezreal who are pretty much known to be able to get farm from a distance or at least hold off some minions if need be. Meantime, 5-0-4, Bishop having 3 items on this Kaisa, extremely powerful, especially with red buff. He does in fact have all 3 of his upgrades as of right now. And you have Kessler on this Echo, has nearly finished his Rabadon and flashes over the wall, make sure that he doesn't get E'd back into the Renekton, because that probably would have spelled death for him. W lands onto the Azir, and the passive coming out from Bishop does obliterate him. He flashes forward, 2 more autos, double kill coming out for Bishop. And the rest of TFT are coming in from the backside. Snare does land, knockup lands as well, and that's a triple kill coming out for Bishop. That's 8 kills, no deaths, and 4 assists, and the buried minions are coming in. And this should be game for Dynasty eSports, taking out the first game of the series. Double snare coming in, the double J4 ulti. Bishop able to pick up the 4th kill, but the last kill gets taken up by Dorjin. Unofficial Quadra, and that is an ace, and that's going to be game 1 going over to Dynasty eSports.
There's
Pretty
not much to
convincing
say
game.
about that game. That was pretty fast, all from the level 2 Jarvan gank on. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back for game 2.
Certainly so. All right. Welcome back, everyone, for Game 2 of our series between Dynasty eSports and Team Fish Taco. The sides have been swapped. Dynasty eSports is now on the blue side, and Team Fish Taco is now on the red side. So we are starting off bans. Coming off with the first three for Dynasty eSports, we have Ribbon, Irelia, and Vel'Koz. And the first three for TFT are Lucian, Zoe, and Morgana, respectively.
And I am just joining in for Game 2 after Dynasty swept pretty hard in the Game 1. And so we'll see how TFT adjusts going in to make this series competitive and if they kind of have answers. So the Nico picked up first. I think that's it's an interesting blind pick early on. TFT is going to have the answer in a solo lane. I think Nico has a few different places that she can go right now, and so I guess it's a decent enough flex pick, and so is the Karma. So neither side's really showing much so far, using the champ pools to disguise a little bit.
Yeah, it seems Dynasty eSports is going for somewhat similar bans as last game, as they banned out Riven, Vel'Koz, and Irelia, so exactly the same. And Nico picked up for Dynasty as well, which was what Rat played in the previous game that got him quite a bit of a lead in the early game versus the Renekton. So what works, stick with it, my philosophy. In the meantime, TFT picking up Karma in Italy, and my guess is to have Karma up in the top lane. Tank Karma top the deal against the Nico probably isn't a bad idea to have range versus ranged at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say TFT having kind of an idea of where the Nico is going will likely opt for a ranged top lane or something safer than the Renekton for this matchup. And so Karma could be a good answer, but they still keep the flexibility between mid lane, bot lane, and then here's the Lux picked up. And I think that after the last patch, that Lux support got a few nerfs, and Lux mid has improved. So I think the shield duration or the shield amount has gone off, and then also her ultimate cooldown no longer, with a takedown, no longer grants the cooldown reduction. And so there's some change there, but we haven't seen Lux in the mid lane very, very much. And so I'm thinking it might still be the support. We'll see if it's still competitive, able to stand up in lane against an Ashe.
Yeah, they were able to pick it up in the previous game as well, and it seems to work out pretty effectively. And Ashe, I wouldn't deny that Ashe could be a pretty solid answer into Lux. Both of them are pretty poke-heavy champions, so no concern with that. And ban coming out from TFT, it doesn't show up but is intended to be a Sivir ban. We have been able to check this through the client. And Dynasty coming out and banning the Yuumi, because Yuumi Ashe is another one of those lanes where I am just pretty annoyed when it comes to the poke that this lane can dish out, especially when there isn't any hard engage to take advantage of their low mobility. Then Ezreal locked in as the last ban for Team Fish Tacos. I'd say Ezreal would be a pretty annoying pickup for the side of Dynasty eSports, because it doesn't seem like there isn't that much engage on the side of TFT, and if you have Ezreal, though, he could pretty much dodge the only one that they have at this point.
And Dynasty, they're looking pretty squishy. Actually, both sides, no true tanks yet. So I'm thinking that they're going to have to lock something in, some more utility, some more tankiness in the top lane for TFT, and kind of ranged tanks aren't super common up there. I imagine that they'll save the counter pick for mid, unless it is the Karma going top. I think Karma Ashe is a pretty oppressive lane, but they could save the flex pick for the end, and they'll go with the Corki, and so they're flexing the top support with their last pickup here. And Caitlyn, that has a lot of kill potential. With any crowd control coming down, you're pretty much as good as dead in that lane. So we'll see what TFT answers if this Caitlyn is locked in.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be beneficial, especially since they now see the Corki. Definitely want to have a longer range ADC that isn't going to be bullied out by the Corki in the mid to late game, especially if he gets ahead, like say a Lucian or something like that. And as we suspected, Caitlyn AD locked in. Lux Caitlyn certainly not nowhere near from a bad lane. Could easily set up those Caitlyn traps and amplify that damage. And then Orianna potentially being picked up and hovered by Dynasty eSports.
I think TFT here really just needs to pick up a tank support. Oh, they're taking the Camille. All right. Well, they're going with the Camille top, Karma in the bot lane, so neither teams have any tanks. Welcome to patch 9.14. We're on 14, right? I mean, I guess they're just all in on the damage. It's going to be another bloodbath. I guess TFT not shying away from the matchup. They're just going to step up and take another swing again, put their best foot forward. Camille into Nico, not exactly what you would expect. How do you think that matchup goes for the Camille as an answer to the success Dynasty had last game?
I think it'd be pretty good. I think you'd have, if it's going against the Camille, is what I'm assuming, because I would hope that it's not Camille support, but you never know. But I think Camille has a lot easier of a time being able to jump onto Nico than Renekton did. Because at least with Camille, you can come in from different angles and not have to line up inside of the minion wave to get on top of Nico. And that's exactly what Nico would want for someone to just walk in through the minion wave and get that extended root duration. So that'd be a lot easier for her to just be able to maneuver around that CC. That could definitely cripple a melee champ in a matchup like this.
Right, I think it'll still be interesting to watch. Just Camille is going to have to play around certain windows of kind of when the tangle barbs are down. So when Nico doesn't have that ability to root, because if you're going in as Camille, Nico just throws her E at the wall where you're hook shotting from, and then it's pretty much like the fight doesn't happen. You have that one engage tool. And so you kind of have to wait for the Nidalee to come up, apply some pressure, burn cooldown so that you can follow up. So I think the kill up there is going to be a little bit tough. Maybe they're looking for more of the split push, the scaling for the Camille, just the ability to take down turrets. But I don't know. It wouldn't be my pick, but maybe it's something that Azuki has been working on that he wants to bring out. I know that Nico can be a pretty annoying lane, so any top laner worth their salt will have some kind of answer.
Yeah, certainly. So just being able to play around that is definitely going to be big. In the meantime, Nidalee picked up for Heimer duels here, and my assumption is that he's had pretty good practice on it, because it's not often that we ever see Nidalee, especially it's been like a very long time since champions like Nidalee and Lee Sin have been prominent in the meta. And then Dorjan, like, blocking in that Kha'Zix, I'm guessing is more so like a counter pick into it.
Well, I can speak for the Nidalee. I know that Heimerdoodles is the resident Nidalee one trick that a lot of the time it's banned out. He doesn't get a lot of it. So that can either cause the player to not practice on it, and then they don't have as many games and they could be a little bit rusty. But when it comes down to crunch time, you want to be on your comfort pick. And so they're looking for, I mean, he blinded the Nidalee, and so he's willing to come back and go to it. So I know that he does have a lot of solo queue games on it, brings a lot of the early pressure. I'm not sure what he was on in the last game, but I think that he's looking to facilitate a lot around the map. He's going to have a pushing bot lane. The mid lane's pushing into him. He kind of wants that to scale. And then top lane, I don't know if there's much that he can get done. So he might be looking to 2v2 around the mid line with Taliyah Kha'Zix, because it's very likely Taliyah will be pushing into the Corki at early levels before some of those wave clear items come in. And the Kha'Zix might also be kind of sniffing around there to pick that up. So I expect there to be quite a bit of action around the mid lane from these junglers.
Yeah, as we see, Corki, he did take TP for this lane, so he's definitely showing more so that he's not as worried about, how would I say, like maybe die in the lane or try to get some sort of kill advantage in the lane. He's definitely opting to get those items as soon as possible and get those optimal back timings. And just going on to the bot lane, I mean, you have Ashe and Karma who have like locked in the heal and ignite, and now we have Friesman and Bishop playing Caitlyn Lux on the other side of the map, and they're going for the TP cleanse summoner spell.
That's pretty interesting, because they do have the Ashe arrow, so Caitlyn's just gonna have to play safe around that. Lux will have the the cleanse up for it. And kind of looking at the scaling, how do you think that this breaks down in terms of early, mid, late? Who has the advantages where, and how we can expect it to shake out at different stages?
I think if the Dynasty bot lane can get a sort of lead in the early game, I think the mid game's theirs. Having damage coming out from Talia, Nico, and Kha'Zix, I think a lot of these champions do pretty well when it comes to mid game power spikes. And comparatively to Team Fish Taco, I mean, there's nothing worse than having like a late game Camille with multiple items and say like a Corki with like a rapid fire and Trinity Force just coming to and from multiple sides of the map with this package. And just having Ash's ulti on the lower CD, I think the later the game goes, it benefits Team Fish Tacos more. Because as the game goes later, I think a lot of their abilities and a lot of their damage just gets amplified more and more by items comparatively to Dynasty, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, and I think that both teams kind of have similar comps in terms that they are playing for pick, that they both have a lot of options for pick. They don't have that much true engage though. There's no tanks, like kind of like we mentioned, and so it's just going to be about bursting down one target, getting that odd number, and then being able to pressure the map accordingly. And so when I think about that, it's just really going to come down to vision control in those corridors around the jungle. Whoever does a better job of controlling the river for picks in the mid game is most likely going to be able to snowball a lead through picks, since both teams want to do the same thing. So the first team to make a big mistake, take a fight that they weren't expecting, or to get collapsed on, that's going to be a really big disadvantage. Going into the mid and then late game. So the vision control is very big. Not the most exciting thing to watch for the setup that leads into the play, but I think that there will be a lot of fighting, a lot of pulling of triggers, and a lot of just going for fights, a lot of early aggression, as we can kind of see that from the jungler picks that are going to be able to facilitate that.
Mm-hmm. And with that, loading into the game, so take some quick breaks, we sync up, and we'll be right back. Wait, what? All right, coming in for the second game of this series between Dynasty eSports and Team Fish Taco. Dynasty eSports on the blue side, Team Fish Taco on the red side, and multiple pings going down towards the bot side of the map. Potentially, it seems like Dynasty eSports is more opting for a 5-point start, and so is Team Fish Taco, so don't think there are going to be too many shenanigans going on early.
Yeah, not much to do. We're going to see a topside start from Nidalee, and so she's going to do a full clear on the top side, most likely get quite a bit of experience off the Krug camp, so hit level 3 and then have an opportunity to gank in the top side, potentially burn the Nico Summoner while she's still at level 2, so we'll look for that. If Heimerdoodles goes for it, potentially burns a Summoner, gets a small advantage up there, and then Camille would have pretty good kill pressure if she can play around the the Tangle Barbs. So that'll be interesting to track that as Kha'Zix is starting on the opposite side. They could potentially meet on the top side, but Nidalee's clear is just incredibly fast, and I doubt that Kha'Zix would be able to answer it. And I think that would probably be the only action we see in the top lane in the early game, as it's pretty tough for either jungler to get much done up there. And they know that Nidalee is starting up, as the bot lane is already at the wave hitting it for TFT. So a little bit of information given over as to Nidalee's start.
Yeah, both junglers did indeed ward up the top pixel brush in the river. So both junglers starting on the right side of the jungle. And both seem to be going towards their Krugs, if I'm not mistaken. Seems like Kha'Zix is definitely going for his Krugs, and
yeah, it's not quite as efficient for Kha'Zix. He will be looping back up, but he is kind of putting those on cooldown. There's a lot of XP and a lot of gold from the Krugs early on. He will be pretty late though, just as Kha'Zix doesn't have quite as clear quite as good of a clear, and so Nidalee might be looking for this gank up here. Rat is all the way pushed in. We'll see if they can get a summoner.
Yeah, definitely a lot of poke coming out from Rat. He's able to put down Azuki down to half HP, but it's definitely going to be dependent on if Azuki can hit that level 3 and potentially get an engage. And meanwhile, in the bot lane, Snare does come out on top of Amsterdam, get a bit of damage coming off onto him. Azuki able to dodge root, W lands. He's not level 3, but neither is Rat. He does get hit by the auto attacks 2 or 3 times, and that is a first blood going over to Heimerdoodles. And that is sort of a repeat of the last game, except the shoe's on the other end of the foot.
And Heimerdoodles now is using the pressure, using the early kill. Rat has the TP back in, and he's kind of looking at this blue buff, but he's likely going to secure... Hold on, we might have a collapse coming.
Yeah, it seems as though that they have Dorjin and Rat. Rat did DTP, he's up in the top lane. They might try to chase out Heimerdoodles, but in the bot lane, fighting going on as well. Root lands onto Amsterdam, and autos are coming out onto Friesman. Piero tries to focus down Friesman as well. W's are coming out. Ooh, and Heimerdoodles up in the top lane and is extremely low, but I don't think he's able to get the kill off of that either. Everyone on the map relatively low.
And Azuki's going to get to crash this potentially. Rat might be missing out on some XP to the turret here. We'll get most of it.
Flash spined, unable to connect from Friesman there. Had it did, that could have been a kill, and then some, potentially.
So, lots of early action, but the only kill was up in the top lane, and that was actually very well played by Heimerdoodles. Walking in with the red buff, he didn't burn all of his cooldowns at the front end of it, kind of knowing that Nico had cooldowns, or had abilities to use, and had the flash up. And so Heimerdoodles just walked in, was autoing, proccing the red buff slow as he approached, saving the cooldowns for after Rat used his gap close, which is very, very well played. Great gank from Heimerdoodles to get that early kill, and also smart by Rat to not use the flash when he kind of was already dead regardless. So well played by both sides. I would have liked to see a ward from Rat coming out. Dorjin going for an invade right here, it looks like.
Yeah, he was definitely looking towards getting some sort of vision, or at least picking up any camps that are left over. Chromazone potentially spotting him out, and in the meantime, Heimerdoodles is indeed towards the bot lane. He did get spotted out by Bishop a bit earlier.
Azuki.
Ooh, he's catching a bit of damage. He does E forward since the E's gotten used up. A couple autos coming through. PTA isn't going to flash forward for the flash Q.
Dorjin is sticking around here, protecting his top laner. I think that they want to crash this wave, but Rat just really can't do that safely, so we might have a fight coming up here in the top lane after Heimerdoodles clears out his Krugs. Dorjin sitting around thinking about the back, and we'll see.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a couple Qs coming out on the bot lane. Yeah, Bishop pretty low, definitely lower than Piero, but he is relatively close in terms of farm. Piero opting to go for that Comet. Definitely going to be poking more so than auto-attacking, I'd say, on that Ashe.
So TFTs open up a small lead. Mostly it's just the first blood. I think that the the CS advantages are pretty negligible. It's mainly just the 500 gold from the first blood, small discrepancies in the mid lane kind of getting closed back up, so nothing too crazy, and I honestly think that benefits TFT. And Dorjan is hanging out around bot lane. We'll see if he gets an opening down here.
Yeah, isn't able to land a W. Kessler getting extremely close to getting a trade going off there in the mid lane. At the same time, you have Heimerdoodles going down there towards the bot lane, and Dorjan is indeed there at Tribush. Sweeper coming out from Heimerdoodles. He's not being spotted out at all, but he is able to transfer into the next bush, potentially spotted from the minions.
I think they
Dorjan
might have
is
seen
close.
him on the wave there. They're playing pretty far back. They're respecting it for sure.
Yeah, in the meantime, Dorjan taking up his red buff, opting to go for more of his camps and potentially go up to his top side, but pings are coming down towards the Ocean Drake, and it seems like TFT are going to opt for getting this Ocean Drake relatively early, alongside the Guardian and a couple of Mantra Qs, a couple of E's from Karma should be taken pretty
Dynasty's
easily.
walking over though.
TP did come out from Bishop. He saw the opportunity, decided to back and grab a BF sword pretty early, but it is going to be a 4v3 right now if they choose to take a fight. Dorjan is inside the pit. Ocean Drake's about 1,000 HP. Weaver's Wall comes in, and that's a stolen dragon coming out from Dynasty eSports. TP comes in from Camille on the backside, and he's able to pick up Friesman, and the rest of the team from Dynasty eSports seems to be getting pincered. Another kill goes over to Chromosomes, and the ulti comes out from Azuki after the flash, but Bishop able to pick up the auto kill. Ooh, aura lands, and he does have, ooh, he had red buff, got knocked away from the Talia. Oh, Heimerdoodles jumped over the wall. He auto Q coming out from Bishop, nearly takes out Heimerdoodles as well. Rat, although sitting up at the top lane, pushing out waves. That is, what was it, 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah,
That
1
was
for 2.
a 1 for 2 in favor of TFT, but the gold lead has closed. It's almost completely even. So that was pretty much due to Rat was able to get 2 turret platings, while nowhere else on the map have any plates gone down. So that was a huge influx of gold into the solo lane. So it's very concentrated on Rat, where Azuki had to TP down. He might have something top.
Ooh, he's able to dodge out the E, but he might go in a bit too far. He misses the E, so does the Nico ulti, but Dorjan is there to clean up and get that nice juicy isolated damage from Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and I think what really secured that was the isolated W, so Dorjan opted for the, oh, hold on.
Ooh, seems as though Chromosomes coming in, uses the package, tries to cut them off, but the jump from Kha'Zix able to keep him out there. Dodges out the spear as well. Not able to get anything out of the package. Pretty well played from the side of Dynasty, making sure that they don't give up too much over in the mid lane, as Chromosome already has a kill over Kessler right now. Ooh, Azuki tried to get something going there. Does pay the price for it, gets a bit of damage chunked out of him while trying to hold mid lane.
Does get to pick up that wave, but kind of what we saw there is just a big influx of gold from the TP differential. So Azuki had the TP advantage from early on gank in kind of the first 2 minutes that we saw, and then Rat didn't have the TP to join the fight. And with that Drake steal, I think that's 100% worth. So that ended up being a really good trade for Dynasty. Yeah, they gave over 2 kills, but they got the Ocean Drake, and they got a lot of isolated gold onto the Nico in a matchup that she should be able to start running away with. This on-hit build is just really impressive as these items start to come in. Getting pretty close to the Bork. Already has the Bilgewater Cutlass, and Heimerdoodles is sitting bot here.
Yeah,
See if he's able to get anything off, but there is a word in that front rush.
Yeah, creeping up. He isn't going to be able to sweep it if I'm not mistaken. He's just holding the wave here at a pretty safe spot. Dorjan is indeed sweeping out, taking out the control ward that's there. And just looking up in the top lane, that's just the state of these Nico matchups into melee matchups, that you can't really get that much CS when you start falling behind like this. She just pokes you out, and that PTA does an insane amount of damage. Oh, that was a yikes for that Ashe ulti.
Yeah. No explanation on that. Maybe she thought it was like Pac-Man, where it like wraps around the map and comes to the other side. Like you exit one side and it comes around the other, aiming for the Nico. I think that's about the only explanation, but that's just the feels bad, man. Right there.
Feels bad moment. Maybe it's like, last Q tries to come out from Lux, isn't able to land. Kha'Zix does come in and get the slow onto Piero, and that's a kill going over to Bishop. Meanwhile, in the top lane, auto task coming out to and fro from Rhett. Able to come out ahead in that trade, but Heimer Doodles is there. Nice dodge from Azuki using his ulti, but the Nico ulti comes in. Azuki latches onto the wall to dodge it just in time and re-land the stun, and that was pretty well played from Azuki there.
Yeah, Azuki just mechanically played that very well. And that was a great timing from Heimerdoodles to trade off the gank in top lane when they knew that Kha'Zix was back. But this is going to be still an advantage for Dynasty. It's basically just response that they get the kill in the top lane, but the turret's going to go down there, and they're going to have eyes on this Infernal Drake. They have a lot of vision control after taking down that turret, and they can rotate right to this potentially. And Heimerdoodles is going to look for the trade of the Rift Herald. And they're going to have to use that Rift Herald to get, maximum value out of it almost immediately. So this is basically just saving some face. They know that they can't contest the Drake. They're going to have to give up a lot of control, and they might be able to get some plates off of it, but they've already lost a whole turret of plates, 4 plates top lane. It's just not looking good for TFT.
Ooh, some good trading out coming up from Bishop, landing a lot of damage onto Chromosomes. And speaking of damage, that one Nidalee Spear taking out over half of Bishop's HP. In the meantime, you have Piero getting caught out. He flashes out of the way from getting hit by that W from Talia, but Kessler able to make out the best of it and pick up the kill in the meantime. TP came out from 48 Chromosomes to try to help him out, but so did Rat, and Rat made the best of that one. 2-0 for the side of Dynasty eSports there.
So now they're starting to convert that gold advantage into just from turrets. So they're starting to convert it more into kills. Oh, top lane, sorry.
Yeah, another Nidalee Spear lands, but in the top lane you have Dorjin. Just seems to pick up another kill, slurps it up, isolated damage on that Kha'Zix. Gives the first kill going over to Dorjin for this game.
And he does have the W evolve, and so that slow is just oppressive. We've seen him use it many times to convert those kills for his laners, and you can't fight him when you can't move. So he still gets the isolation damage from his passive. He's gonna get this top turret, and it's just really not looking good for Team Fish Taco right here. They just don't exactly have a response. I think their last hope is to let the Corki get items, let him get farm, try to keep this mid lane turret up as long as possible, and then look for a pick and then try to drop the Herald and get a lot of turrets and a lot of momentum off of that. So they're looking for a big momentum play once this Corki hits some power spikes. He has the package right now. We'll see if they are looking for any picks, but they're kind of in just a weird 1-3-1 right now with Ashe pushing out the bot lane for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's like the kill difference isn't that high, but the goal difference certainly is getting higher and higher, and I think it's thanks to a lot of these tower plates and tower kills that they've been able to get as of recently. Ooh, in the meantime, mid lane fight nearly broken out there, but Bishop able to stay alive. It's just going to sit there in the mid lane, start clearing out waves.
And Dynasty, if they're able to force a fight mid lane or kind of an A ramp here, just the Ashe engage.
Ooh, Ashe ulti does land. Cleanse comes out from Friesman. He's able to get the snare coming out, but Heimerdoodles does not anticipate the Kha'Zix coming in. Bishop picking up kill onto Corki as well. Double kill coming out from Dorjin again. He's able to pick off Camsterdam, and that's a triple kill from Dorjin as he picks up the leftovers of Azuki, trying to get a kill onto the backline as well. And that's a 4-for-0 for the side of Dynasty right there.
they used the Ashe engage, but she used it from bot lane. So Ashe wasn't actually in the fight. So it ended up being a 4v4. They hit the original engage, but Dorjan just kept getting isolation damage and he's still playing aggressive.
Ooh, speaking of isolation, tried to jump out there. He did bait out the heal, but the damage does come out from the rest of his team, and that's another kill going over to Bishop, sitting at 4-0-1 right now. And Dynasty eSports seem to be in full control of this game for the most part.
Yeah, basically, they have this game in their grasp right now. I mean, that they've just been playing really well. Dorjan is a monster right now, and finally the Herald, I think it was about to time out. We'll see if they're even able to pick up this mid turret. I think Bishop and Friesman might be able to wave clear this. No final spark available to help with the wave clear, so potentially go down, but it's just a consolation prize right now.
Q from Caitlyn does land, and Dorjan is there. The slow and the flash Q auto does pick up a kill onto Karma. Amsterdam down, and that's a second kill coming out for Dorjan. In the meantime, the Rift Herald unable to take down the entire tower as the rest of Team Fish Tacos is just pushed off of that. And that's another flash coming out from Friesman, but flashed away from Chromosomes as well. Q unable to land. Caitlyn ulti does do a decent bit of damage, but unable to kill Chromosomes. Definitely shoves him off the wave for right now. And this could be another tower going down for the side of Dynasty eSports off of that pretty solid hold of that mid lane. Yeah,
that was just an overstay. They were just thirsting way too hard for that mid lane turret that they just didn't have the map pressure to go for it. And now there's another Infernal spawning. This could potentially be TFT's best shot. There's a lot of cooldown spent from Dynasty, and they are on the retreat. They have quite a bit of gold in their pocket, so if TFT can force a fight here, this might be their best chance back into the game, is the fight for this Drake.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. They're sizing it up. Ulti lands on to Caitlyn, the last person you'd want to get picked off in a fight. That's a shutdown gold going over to Azuki. Meanwhile, on the side, you have Kessler. He does flash away to just get back to his team. Isolation damage coming out from Kazakhs. Dorjan picks up another kill. Make that 2, and the reset's coming in. 3 kills coming out from Dorjan. The Weaver's wall connects. And that is a cleanup of the ages. 5 for 1 and an ace going over for the side of Dynasty eSports.
At 18 minutes, I mean, 2 Infernals, 18 minutes. They trade 1 for 5 right there. So Dynasty gets to pick up this middle inhibitor before the Barons even spawn. It's still not up for another minute. They might rotate it up into the top lane to take another inhibitor turret before TFT completely spawns back up. But they will have full pressure over the Baron when it spawns. And just when I said this was TFT's best opportunity for that, it was still a long shot. it probably was the best opportunity, but even with the window of opportunity, it just wasn't their time, and I don't see a way that they make it back in from about 11k gold deficit with the Baron spawning and nobody able to answer Nico in the side lane. So now with the TP up, Rat can just go walk into the bot lane, and Azuki really can't do anything just with how far ahead the Nico is. So
yeah,
not many answers.
It's getting pretty difficult for the side of Team Fish Tacos right now. I mean, you have Bishop, who has that rapid fire completed. He already has such a loud like a long range coming in from those auto attacks, and then you just have to anticipate Dorjan, where if you don't get rid of Dorjan, these team fights are just gonna constantly go into their favor. And speaking of team fights, Dorjan opted to try to go for another kill, but unable to TP though coming in from the Nico. Root does land, is able to pick off the Azuki, and that ulti damage coming out from Bishop. Nets him another kill. It seems like they have their sights set on shoving in this top lane, potentially moving back to the Baron. Corki sitting in the bush, unable to make a kill out of that.
Really good vision control right here, making it impossible for Team Fish Taco to engage or to look for any kind of fight.
Oh, Dorjan does indeed get spotted out, try to get a cheeky kill on someone pretty isolated, but they do indeed try to start the Baron right now. They have an idea that's coming in, and TP coming in from Mizuki as well. The Baron's getting down pretty low. It's about half HP. And you have Corki. He does have the package. It's getting pretty low. Ulti for Mash misses. They fall off the Baron. Corki's package trying to come in. Stun lands onto them. Dorjan's able to pick off Heimer there. Bishop able to get the kill onto Mizuki. And the side of Dynasty eSports is indeed able to pick up the Baron. Kill going over to Rat as he picks up Chromosomes, and Dorjan falls in the process, but that's still a 3-for-1 for the side of Dynasty eSports on top of the Baron.
I don't know how much gold he gave up, but he still has a 200 gold bounty, if that tells you anything about this game.
Yeah, he's sitting on a pretty solid bounty. TP came out from Bishop to get to that lane minion as soon as possible. The super minions are indeed pushing him from that earlier inhibitor, and the root lands coming out on top of Piero, and he eats it alive as Rat picks up another kill, making that his 5th. E coming out from Camille. He tries to get something going, but Kessler is able to respond, picks up a kill onto him as well. Corki again with the respawn. 2 towers going down. Nexus is open, and they're trying to focus this down, and this might be the game going over for Dynasty eSports. The minions are pushing in. The rest of TFT are spawning out. That's a kill going over onto Bishop, and that might be enough for Chromosomes to stall the rest of this game.
Origins running down.
Ooh, the flash comes out from Higher Doodles to pick up the kill onto Friesman, but Dorjan comes in at the last second, picks up 2 kills. That's a double, and the minions are right there. Ash ulti lands onto Dorjan, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Another kill going over to Kessler to finish up the job, and that is a 2-0 sweep for the side of Dynasty eSports in this series.
Both games just looked really similar at the end when you're looking back. I mean, just really dominant performances from Dynasty. Like a few early game plays that looked good at first from Team Fish Taco got completely turned around. Not that they ended up losing the fights, but that the payoff that they got wasn't as good as what Dynasty was getting on the other side of the map, or what Dynasty was ending up doing with the time investment from TFT. They were reacting really well, and when TFT was reacting, they were not getting as much off of the back end of some of those fights. So it was just really well played by Dynasty to make sure that they were taking advantages, that they were snowballing them, and that they just had some dominant performances in map control throughout the game.
Yeah, and then you have to give it up for Dorjan, he just rolled with this game. I think that counter pick into the Nidalee definitely paid off for him in that aspect. He was able to make use of the pick to its fullest extent, as we saw in those later portions of the game where he just rolled and just got reset at the reset on that Kha'Zix.
And looking at him now, he does have 380 games played on Kha'Zix this season in solo queue. So that's something that other teams in the future are probably going to be sniffing out, having to answer for, or banning, either way. So yeah, it's there's just a great performance by Dynasty. So hats off to them.
Yeah, it's a clean 2-0 game for them. Definitely going to be interesting watching the rest of their games, seeing who can stop them moving on the rest of the series, as this game had to be rescheduled because Riot had a fun time patching 9.14 into the game. But with that, thank you all for joining us. I've been Swift, your colorcaster and local TFT enthusiast, and Kairos has been with me, my colorcaster. And with that, I wish you guys good rest of the night, and we'll be back, I believe, tomorrow at 8 o'clock EST scheduled time for another set of games for ABL. Unless we play more teamfight tactics, but hopefully it's at 8 o'clock.